while that was in progress is when the gift came through. So clearly, we needed to know that the gift was really going to save us a lot of money, because to fix up the current building would be so much more.
So we're just partway through that process on the existing building. We're kind of at a stopping point to see what happens in March and what the process for that may or may not become. And then we would pick up, if need be, we'd pick up this process and begin to really drill down into details.
And try to come up with the money for it.
Well, I think
And
it's,
we'll
we're beating
keep-
a dead horse with this,
Yeah.
because I don't think the town would ever vote to pass 1.2 million or whatever it might be for that building. It would never happen.
Right.
So we're just kicking the horse down the street here. He's already dead.
But we needed to know, because people have asked us questions about the existing building. So we started that process because we needed to know for us, we needed to know for the community, that information is valuable.
And I think that could be said for a lot of the buildings in town.
I agree.
The buildings in town are all pretty old. And there would be a priority list. Okay. So we have this, the architect, what did you say Fred wanted to know?
Fred said that, should the library get the new building, the board would need to discuss what to do with the Scribner building, because it would then fall under the board.
Yeah, at that point, I mean, that's down the road. I don't think we can
I'm-
anticipate any of that now.
I'm not sure that we're at the speculation point.
Not even.
Yeah, exactly.
With, quite frankly, it's the same process in a way that they're going through, because we would need to know how we change the purpose and what it would cost us to change that purpose. Okay.
I have one other thing to add that just came about. We have just received, we now have, and the town now has, an official surveyed plan of that lot. There never existed one. We now have, we contracted with Tony Randall. He has done a complete survey and official plot plan for that lot. So that will be part of the town information.
Good to know. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on. Okay, library requests to be excused from paying back to the town for payroll expenses for 2021 of it's like $18.12.
So with the electric, water, and sewer, we'll be doing the same thing with their payroll expenses. So with the library's check, we assess just what we get charged for processing their payroll, which is $2.50 per check, and 53 cents per stamp for the checks to come to us. So we get assessed those charges. So we broke them out and provided them with a list of how many checks the library received per month of payroll for the entire year, and withheld that from their final payout for 21.
Okay.
So they have written a email
Yes.
to be excused from that.
Yes.
So are the people who work for the library town employees?
Library employees.
They're library
Okay.
employees.
So the library is responsible for their employees, and the town is doing their payroll for them?
Well, as I understand the history of it, I wasn't here when it happened, but our director tells me that at one point the town had a cash flow problem. So the town asked if they could do the payroll. So instead of giving the library big chunks of money to, pay the employees from, and payroll is actually the largest expense at the library. So instead, the town, and again, I don't know when this was, offered to do the payroll to essentially improve their cash flow position.
We have any paper on that?
I don't know the timing of it.
I'm going to say that a lot of paperwork, or there's a lack of paperwork on certain types of transactions. The way things were done in the past is the way that it has come down. And finding paperwork on it is extremely difficult.
It's at least 10 years, if not 15. It's,
Were you?
Well, then you got 10 years for free.
Um,
no, we were asked by the town. The town asked to do it. They didn't ask us to pay at that time.
And the idea was that we relieve the library of those expenses. And in turn, the town didn't have to worry about the cash flow. Because there were years when cash flow was a real problem for the town. The other point I would like to make is that this money all comes from the town appropriation, whereas the utilities have their own separate revenue sources. So it's like taking it from one pocket or another. It's all town.
Utilities generate their own
Yes.
revenue.
Right,
The library's not generating any revenue.
No.
right. We're just living off the town appropriation like the other town departments, and they're not being charged for payroll expenses.
But they're town employees.
Right. But it's the same pot of money, essentially. So it's just being removed from our budget and put in, I guess, I don't know where else it goes.
I would like to know the legal standing on that. If the town's doing it and we're obligated, that's one thing, but if we're not, that's another thing. So I can't make a decision on that unless I know what the legal recourse is on it. I mean, I'm not trying to be a hard nose here, but it does sound like a legal position. If they're not town employees and the town's making payroll for them, and all they're asking for is the expenses to make that payroll, it seems to me that you could take it out of those funds you have and pay your own employees.
Well,
then
pay
we
the
would
payroll
budget for it.
taxes on it.
It's not budgeted.
Well, no, we're not
It's a nut-
paying the payroll, we're paying.
Yes, you're paying the
cost
tax.
of doing the
Yes.
payroll.
We've been told in 2019 that's what was going to happen in 2000, or whatever, 2000, we'd been told last year that this is what you're going to have to do next year.
Okay.
We would have put it in our budget.
Yeah.
And it would have still come out of the town appropriation, just in another place. But
So this happened last year then?
No,
2018?
no,
Yes.
what he said, what I heard, was that if the town had said, next year you are going to be paying your own payroll taxes, they would have budgeted for it. This is coming, they're being charged in 2022, because, for 2021 without any notification. That's what I heard.
right.
That's
Well, I heard him saying in 2019.
No.
Well, what he said was if in 2019.
We've been told
We had been told we would started putting it in our budget.
for the next year.
I should have said 2020.
It was an unbudgeted item.
So what we're saying is that next year, we won't have this problem.
No, we didn't put it in our budget for 22 either. Well, I mean, we didn't know.
So it's a
But you can
continuing
adjust,
problem.
well, while I might want to forgive 2021, I would not forgive 2022.
So there has to be some kind of an agreement.
There has to be,
Should be something.
has to be a coming of terms.
It's more than a one-time situation.
Yes.
Right. And is it legal for us to do that?
Fred,
It is checked.
Yeah.
Fred has asked us to make a decision
Okay.
on what to do. Well, that's what this says.
Right.
All right.
I'm,
No, I don't, I don't see a problem with making the payment to them then. Then if you other guys feel that way about it, and the next year you have to pony up and pay the expenses
because at least they would have a year to
to
work on their books to pay.
right. It would be a solution to the problem.
It would be a solution to the problem.
Anybody else got any opinions on it?
Sounds better.
So the other thing that might happen is if we decide we're gonna pay a payroll company to do, maybe that's cheaper than what it's costing us, the town is charging us.
I doubt that.
The payroll company would charge you a lot more money than that.
So, but then we would go back to the town.
And ask
to
for more
give
money.
us the big chunk of money so that we can pay our own payroll. That's where it all started, because the town said, we have this cash flow issue, and we really don't wanna hand you all the money for the
Well,
payroll.
it seems to me we gave raises this year too, didn't we?
I believe that this year, we do not have a cash flow issue, as happened in the past. If the library trustees are a semi-independent organization within the town. They have equal standing with, as it was explained to me, they have equal standing as with the select board about governance of what they do. They depend upon an appropriation for everything that they do. The townspeople supply that, they ask for a budget and they give. As I said, this last year, they did not budget for it. If they were told at the beginning of budget season that they would have had to do this, it would have been one thing. I think it's close enough that they can budget the probably less, a little bit more than the $6,600 for next year, but not to charge them for something they didn't know about that they were going to have to pay.
See, I have no knowledge of any of that except what I'm hearing here, so that's what I'm trying to make a
It's-
decision based on what I'm hearing.
And I understand that.
Does the library have a treasurer?
I do.
David.
David,
Why aren't you doing payroll? It's not that hard.
I don't want to do payroll, but I've never done
Again, the
payroll.
town asked us not to do our own payroll, is what we're boiling down to here. Sometime in the past, the town said, we can't give you the money for the payroll, so we're gonna do your payroll for you.
Well, that's no longer the case.
So,
Yeah, this is,
It is not something that I think that we, while I might say we can forgive them for last year,
yes.
there needs to be some discussion
an understanding going forward.
and understanding going forward, because if the town library wants to get charged by ADP, significantly more than,
Significantly more. This is just cost of envelopes and stamps
you know.
and checks.
Yeah,
It's a, across the board, even swap,
So-
you know.
I think I think it would be in their best interest, but if they're having the utilities do it, if because the library is a separate entity, they want to charge the cost of doing business, doing the checks, I really don't have that much of an issue with it. And they're getting a better deal than they would out on the street. Or unless David decides that he wants to buy the software and run payroll himself.
No, obviously he doesn't want to do that, and I don't blame him. He's a volunteer, he doesn't get paid to do that job, so.
No.
Well,
So really, at this point, what we hear you saying is that you're gonna forgive us this year.
No, you hear me saying that. We haven't voted yet.
That's a suggestion,
So that's.
and I just
that's
want to know
what's
how
on the
other people
table.
feel about it, and I'd really like to know the legal issue of it.
Can I ask a
Well-
question of clarification? Are you wondering whether it's legal for the town to do our payroll? Or is that what your question is? I will say that many towns.
Whether the town has the obligation to charge for it because it's.
Okay, I was wondering if that was your question,
You know,
the charge.
whether that's established or not. I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
how that works.
I do know
We
that
should.
many towns.
We've
do-
made some mistakes in the past
Yeah.
and had to pay dearly for it, so we're
I
just
do
being
know-
careful.
I do know that many towns do handle the payroll for the library. How
Sure.
they handle for charges, I don't know. And one little thing I would ask, as you're talking, when you say this year and last year and next year, in the end, could you specify which year you really
Absolutely,
are
yes.
talking about?
Well, I'm not sure we can make that decision tonight, can we?
I have,
I think we can make the decision for 2021 tonight.
yeah.
I think we can make that decision.
Yeah.
Don't think we should make any further decisions until we have all the facts.
Right,
Uh,
I agree with
I
that.
agree.
Then, would someone care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we forgive the indebtedness of $618.12 from the library for payroll expenses for the year 2021.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion among the board? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All aye, opposed, say nay. Hearing no nays, motion carries.
I'd like to ask the trustees a question, if I could.
Sure.
And nothing to do with this, but is it possible, do other libraries run any activities that can generate revenue for the library? Are they-
Aside from the book sale?
Excuse me?
Aside from the book sale?
Well, the book
Yeah,
sale
besides the
is-
book sale, yeah.
That's the Friends.
Yeah, that's not the library.
Yeah.
That's not the library itself, that's the Friends.
Right.
Library.
I believe library services and programs should be free of charge.
Yeah, I think the law
Yeah.
actually states that.
I think that's,
No, but I'm
Citizens of a town
saying
have
is
free
it
use.
possible for the organization to find some way to generate revenue? Not necessarily charging people that are using library services.
no, but even programs, I think our programs are also supposed to be.
Free of charge.
Free of
Yeah, and I
charge.
understand that. Libraries have always been that
Yeah.
way.
But the friends of the library can
Well,
get donations, can't they?
they can get donations, they
Anybody.
don't get many.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that's not,
Yeah.
Dave, that's not the point. Can they, or, you know,
Sure, they
if they
solicit
can,
donations
It's
and-
like the,
Yeah.
the Fourth of July committee, they raise funds to generate funds so they can do the Fourth of July activities. They find a way to do that legally. I'm just wondering if there's some avenue for you folks to generate, because you seem to be having a lot of problems with revenue and money.
We
So-
legally can accept donations, yes.
Yeah, I know
don't
that.
think, I do not believe we
Yeah.
are allowed to charge for services
No,
and
I'm not talking
programs.
about charging
Well,
for services.
Yeah, but we,
There has gotta be ways to
There are.
generate funds. And
We
I'm just
have-
wondering if other libraries do it.
they do. We have on our library website, there is a donation link. We have that, we have it there.
Okay.
We do
I'm-
accept them.
I'm done.
So before we move on, are we going to pass this
Gentlemen.
along to legal? How are we going to handle
That was
this
gonna be my
going forward?
question.
Since it's between two bodies, two legitimate bodies of the town, I think we better get a legal opinion.
Yeah, and that's what I said, I just want to make sure that we're going down the correct path, so everybody is satisfied.
So are you voting on the motion? I didn't.
No, we've already passed the forgiveness.
We already gave, I've already said that
Okay, I'm
for
sorry.
2021,
All right. Very
it's
good.
forgiven.
All right.
Now, Charlie had a question, I think.
Yeah, just a comment on the raising money thing for the library. I'm aware of some libraries who have sponsorship for events, and it's really an advertising type of thing. And you brought up the 4th of July committee. That's how the 4th of July committee raises its money.
Right,
through
exactly, sponsorship, right.
And advertising. You get a banner and you get your name. And I am familiar with.
And it's acted like a donation.
Yeah, that's right. So it comes through like a donation, but they get sponsorship for some
But you're
event.
generating revenue through that.
And also they create some event at the library that
Right.
people
Activities and
participate in.
events.
And activities. So I have seen some of that.
It's food for thought.
Sure.
Thank you, Charlie.
Okay. Next on the list is approval of yield tax warrant for Timothy and Diane Hibbard, tax map 008-001-002, in the amount of $3,501.85.
Can you tell us more about this? Is this coming to us or going our way?
No, this is
This is going to
sign off on.
sign off on.
This is the timber cut on North Ashland.
Oh, okay. Is this normal?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I will yield to the people who know about timber cutting.
Well,
So I
so
guess
there's
that
one
means we're not
person.
going to take this up tonight?
It's,
Did Fred leave any notes?
Nope, he just left me the sign sheets.
Wonderful.
However, I do have the report, if you'd like to see that.
it's a good report. My estimation.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of good-sized trees on that lot.
Okay, I'll accept a motion.
Well, what's these other things? Notice of the state license, question of charter commission?
No, we've got more things to go.
Oh, okay.
This is not the end of your
All right.
night, Bob.
Oh, I know that, of course. But you said,
Thanks for
I
trying.
mean, we
though.
do things in some sort of an order.
I get that.
So who gets this check? Does the town get it, or does the state get it?
Yes.
Both,
Oh,
yes. We get a portion. What it is, I don't know. But most of it goes to the state.
of course it does. Why wouldn't it? I'll make a motion that we sign the yield tax levy on lot 008-001-002 in the amount of $3,501.85.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
It's been seconded.
Go ahead, Bob.
What?
You're first.
Is there any further board discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
And I'll start this way. There's 3 sheets.
Okay. Now, one that we haven't seen in an awfully long time come to a board.
Liquor license.
Is a liquor license.
This is just for comments if you'd like to make them, discuss them.
Thank you.
It looks like Barry Gauze Enterprise wants to have a seasonal, wants to be able to sell alcohol.
Yeah.
Hang on, I got one more here.
Okay.
So right out of the marina,
Yep.
as the boats go out?
It's a drive-through.
Out on the patio.
Are they going to serve food? Is it going to be a restaurant? Does anybody have a
That's-
They
clue?
would have to.
The license has to do
Oh.
that, yeah.
I know it used to be that they would have to have.
It's a percentage.
2 out of 3 sheets.
Yeah, one is just a
Yeah, there you go.
spreadsheet.
If I may, Eli.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, after a long day on the water, you park your boat, you go in and have a sandwich and a beer.
Well, okay.
You get in your car and drive home.
Yes, yeah. Or
Grab something a little in the water.
it will be in direct competition with the snack bar at the campground.
That way we sell it down here now.
They both have a liquor license.
Looks like you can apply for it.
Like,
You have to sell
Okay.
food. I don't, does this require any action from us, or it just says notice?
If we want to make comments, we would be making the comments, aside from the ones that we've already made, to the Liquor Commission. Marissa would take our comments verbatim,
Yep.
turn them into a document, and send it off to the state.
No, I have no problem with it. They run a good business down here. They're straight up. And they'll do whatever the law requires.
Absolutely. I've been wondering why it has taken them so long to do this.
Well, they were spending a lot of money in other places and probably didn't have the time. And then they had that big fire, if you recall.
Okay. Next item is question of status of Charter Communications stock holding by the Electric Division, 2 shares, a total of $1,303.94. And Marissa, do you have any notes on this one?
Yes. The question is if we should pursue investigation of if there were other shares that we had at one point and where they went, where they were sold off to.
This is my understanding, if you have a corporation, you sell shares, that somebody has to keep, there has to be a board, and they're responsible for having a yearly meeting and set the rate for those shares, and they have to keep track of them, so they should know where they are. But
That would be-
apparently that has not happened.
That would be Charter. These were a apparently, the Ashland Electric Department owns them. Owns 2 shares of Charter.
Okay.
And basically, we want to know what the hell to do with them.
Do they generate a revenue? Do they have those shares? Are they
This is
dividends paid on those?
Is this about the first time we've heard about this,
No more
Marissa?
questions.
This is the first time since the commissioners were dissolved. So that the town has heard anything about this. This
Okay.
is all on the old commissioners and superintendent.
Okay. My understanding on dissolving shares of stock is you have to go through the Secretary of State's office.
This is what, and we have to find out. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, we can call down there and ask them, but we'd have to have a little more information.
We need a little bit more information, it's either that or we have a party.
Well, it's wondering who
so-
owns the shares, you know?
The Ashland Electric
Okay, if
Department,
they own them, I think that they can dissolve them.
there is no Ashland Electric Department Commission anymore.
Right, okay.
It is, we are now the Ashland Electric.
You still want to dissolve them, so you have,
Oh,
yeah. Still gotta have
we
to-
have to,
yeah.
I think we need more information
Right.
on what to do, is how a municipality has stocks in a private company. I mean, it's only $1,300, but
Right.
still.
It's, yeah. It somehow or other you get that line down to zero, you know?
I don't know how much money we make off of it.
No, I imagine that
Yeah,
you
we
could go
haven't
to
got
the-
any information
We
that
haven't.
tells us what we paid for them, or what was
Right,
paid
exactly.
for.
We
All
need-
we've got is what what they're
We have
worth
a
right
sheet of
now.
paper that says that Charter has told us that we have 2 shares of stock.
Is there paperwork on the job? Maybe the Secretary of State has paperwork on the.
This
on
is what we have to,
Right.
this is what we have to direct our management team to find out.
Okay. And that. we
Shouldn't
should
be
do
too
is-
hard to track if
Right.
they have under charter, because we've got the account number.
Yeah.
If there were more stocks, we should find that out. Lord only knows if there's anything else.
I'm imagining you can dissolve it, just do it legally through the Secretary
Yeah.
of State's office. Yeah. And just
Well,
revert the money back to the elected.
as soon as we find out, I mean, we
Yes.
could sell them.
Why would you want to do that? You just have this problem again.
If we'll probably, well,
It's a non-functioning board, commission, right?
it's a non-functioning commission, but we have $1,300 that we have to figure out what to do with. And how to get it in
Right.
to our system correctly.
Your answer will be at the Secretary of State's office.
And okay,
Been there, done that.
they've been there, done that. There's a question of approval of
Mini billing.
mini building proposal for 3 years contract for utility billing.
So we've received the contract. Did Fred copy it? No. Okay. So.
Well,
I don't believe so.
I've got the
I may retrace
proposal.
No, no problem with
There's
this.
the summary, there's just the literature, but the actual contract itself is not in our paperwork. I don't see it.
Well, I have
There's
one
nothing-
if you'd like to take a look. I can also email you all a copy of it. So we've taken a step further with Muni Billing and asked them for the actual contract for their services. We had another meeting with myself, Ann, and Diane, which posed a lot of good questions.
No, I didn't get
And
this.
then they followed up again with me to clarify those questions. I spoke with Ann and Diane again today, and they both would like to move forward with this, as myself and Fred would like to. It's a 90-day installation period, basically, so we'll line up with the first shipment of AMI readers. So that contract is 3 years. It outlines the credit card machine. We would have to purchase one of those for one-time fee of $540. It's a monthly bill that we would have to use the credit card processor, and it's $33 and I think 23 cents a month just to use the credit card
Do we pay a
processor.
percentage?
The percentages are outlined on the last page. We would not pay the percentages. What they do is they set it up inside of the online portal for people to pay the credit
Yeah.
cards. It
That
automatically assesses the fee there, and then those fees get bucketed right back to the credit card company. So we're not taking it in and then throwing it back out. They're just separating it initially.
Now, is this going to include water and sewer billing too?
Yes. So it would be water, sewer, and electric. All three.
And that means that we would probably be changing the way it's billed now through Franklin.
Yes.
Yes.
So we got information from Franklin about the online payments as they stand, and we will be getting charged. NACHA has stopped with the free payment portal.
Yes.
So I'll be in communication with her to find out, because there may be a overlap of time where we don't have coverage from the dates that they gave us to the dates that they
yeah.
gave us. So once we had decided that this is where we wanted to go, now I can communicate with her kind of what that time frame looks like. Either way, there's going to be a fee assessed if you pay online. But they would still, Muni Billing would still have the option if you wanted to pay via like ACH, which is how it's done now on the payment portal. The way it's done now would start to assess a fee. Muni Billing has a flat fee of 60 cents no matter what you pay. If you pay via ACH, it's that. If you pay by credit card, it has the percentages in the back of tiers.
We had extensive discussion about this at a previous meeting.
About getting,
Yeah, getting this. done.
about getting a new billing system and
And
also
Lord knows we need it.
morphing the water and sewer into it.
Right. It should solve the problems we've had for the last year, for the most part.
There should be a lot of, once it's set up, obviously there's going to be the initial start where you have to learn it and get used to it, but once that's done, it should be a time saver, because anybody that pays online rather than waiting for it to come in and then finding out something maybe bounced or just didn't come through correctly, which causes issues, will know immediately, because they either won't be able to take the funds out or the credit card will get declined at the point of sale. They have a very nice reporting feature. When the credit cards are run, we have a daily deposit report that we can run that'll show this is how much was paid to electric, this is how much was paid to water, this is how much was paid to sewer, and how that was applied per person, which I think is going to be a time saver as well. Right now, they manually enter not only anybody that goes in with a cash or check, they manually enter all online payments. This would eliminate that entire step.
So this is all in the cloud or in their service?
Yep, it's cloud-based, so it's not downloaded software, so
Right.
everything lives with them. They don't purge any data. So they bring over 2 years' worth of data into the system, and then after that, they keep everything. They don't purge it. All that data is ours.
Good to have.
And we'll be able to merge our reporting system, the AMI system, whether it's water and sewer or electric, into the billing system.
Yep, they've already worked with census. So census is what we use for the waters readings. So they don't have an issue with that. AMI reads for the electric. I've talked to both Eaton and Muni Billing, and we're all on the same page of how that's going to be done, and it's just a simple download the file. We had a meeting with Eaton back in December that nailed down when the reads would come in for billing. So we landed on the first of every month. So at midnight going on to the first of every month, the reads will be read and downloaded into a file. So they have their own program called Yukon. They would just log into Yukon, pull the file that's already downloaded for them, and drop it into the new program. And just like that, it's done. So,
Much more efficient.
yep.
What does Fred want us, you see, question of approval. So he wants us to approve this, or not approve it.
Yep.
Are there any questions from the audience? Such as it is? No.
This is something, so I make a comment on it, a discussion part, is that something we need because of the issues that we've been facing for the past year.
I will say that when water and sewer got the readers, it certainly did help a lot. It took the time to read the meter from a couple of days down to less than 4 hours. And if everything were set up all right, if the came through, checks, bills could have been printed within 2 hours.
And I think this is what we're gonna see.
And the new system seems to be better than
Yeah,
that one is.
we're not requiring people to go out and read meters. No more.
Which will take care of, well, the only time they would have to go out is if there was a misread. Sometimes meters don't read, as we found out.
Well, we also know that the meters that are out there now are very old.
The electric meters,
and not
there are
accurate.
those that are, they're after their useful
Lifetime.
lifetime.
Yep. So-
Okay,
I have one question.
Sure.
Marissa, kind of put you on the spot a little bit here.
Sure.
In some round numbers, can you put the initial cost and what it will cost after that per year?
Sure. So
Without, I did not read the whole thing there.
that's okay.
I'm sure that you have that right off the top of your head.
I do. Yes. So they would bill us monthly, $12.50 a month. So they lock us in. Basically, what they do is they bill you on active accounts. They lock us in at where we are right now with the numbers we provided them, and they can't change that for those 3 years. At the end of 3 years, they would do a true up. So if we were below X amount, if we were to go into another contract, they would lower it. If we were up, then that's when they would up it. But within the 3-year contract, they won't change it. So it comes out to about $15,000 for the whole year with all of that. The initial setup is $6,000 for all of the implementation, setting up our entire services, getting all the different data points, and I believe it's just over $900 for the training, orientation, and like the personnel side of things.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Not bad for a $3.5 million enterprise.
so, Marissa, what is the total amount of money we are going to ask, you are asking for up front?
Let's see.
$6,000 or something.
Yeah, there it is. $995 is the training. Implementation is $6,000. And then the subscription fee, they bill quarterly, sorry, is $37,770. So I'm just Just gonna pop out a calculator. $22,076.
Okay. I'll accept a motion.
Move to accept the payment to monthly, is going to monthly billing?
Initial cost
Initial
and,
cost.
Initial cost and monthly
Initial
bill.
cost of muni building?
Yep,
Okay, muni building. What was that number again?
$22,076.
$22,076.
I'll second that.
it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion among the board? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carried.
I do have
Opposed.
one question that has nothing to do with the pricing.
Okay.
Just when do we expect this to happen?
It's a 90-day, so I would say by end of April, because they will do it as soon as this contract is signed, we'll start. So end of April would be the live date.
So it's just around the time we start to get the meters in.
Yep, we're expecting to get our first drop of meters the end of April. That's what we're scheduled for, so it would be a good time to have this live and then start transitioning, rather than doing
The
it
other
the
way,
other way.
yeah.
Doing it after the fact.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good plan, thank you.
Yep. Marissa, thank you for that arithmetic.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I will also let you know too, we've started bi-weekly meetings with Eaton, which is the meter company. So they've started it all. It's
Yeah,
every other week we have to talk to them, so.
that's good.
So just on the, I called it mini billing.
Muni billing.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be muni billing.
Yep.
There's a little typo here.
I have one other thing that Patsy brought to me today.
Oh, wonderful.
It's the sign off on the ratio study. She says she's filled it in for everybody.
And, but we are also going to have to sign off on payroll today, since Fred is not. In the office, it's our job to make sure that our people
Employees get paid. Yeah.
And accounts payable.
And
the
accounts
bills.
payable.
What is this about? Do you have any idea, Eli?
Which one are we talking about this? Oh, what,
Ratio study?
I have limited knowledge of this. Actually, this is the first time I've seen this one. It's just, what does it allow them to do? Certify that the assessment and sales information provided by us on the New Hampshire Mosaic Equalization System has been thoroughly reviewed by this board and is complete and accurate to the best of our knowledge. I do hate to be contrary. I love just to sign things and get them off the table. But when somebody wants me to sign something that I haven't had a chance to even glance at, or nor has it been explained, I am not in favor of that.
I think we're all kind of shaking our heads here. What is that?
She presented it today, so I'll let her know that you need to see the information
That
first.
we would like to see
Yeah.
Or agree.
what we're signing off on.
Perhaps you could have attended the meeting tonight so we could understand it.
Well, we still would not have seen what we are signing off on. Okay. While you're delving through whatever else we're delving through, we have finished with new business. Do we have old business? I hear,
Well, what is the business of from the meeting on Saturday?
that's going to be an under selectments.
Okay,
That's
okay,
the next one
okay.
after that. I was just wondering if we had any reports upon things that have been completed that have not been brought forward, would be old business.
Your roof done?
The roof is done. at
The roof is done.
Yes.
They must have had fun in that weather, boy.
That's what they get for waiting since
Yeah.
August.
I go by it and saw her out there working and it's like below zero. I'm thinking, wow, these guys are tough.
It was a
Might I
lot
ask-
warmer in August when we
Might
said.
I ask, Ann, were any pictures taken of that during construction, so to speak?
I don't think so.
Okay. I'll bring up my concerns at a later date.
Okay. Now, some concerns about the default budget were brought up at the meeting. And Fred said that it was up to us and the finance and town manager to take care of it. I see finances here. Town manager is unavoidable in person, but we perhaps could talk to him. And as long as the audience can hear, I think that's permissible. My parliamentarian and 91A specialist is sitting here.
As long as everybody can hear.
Yep, that's the key.
And while we're waiting, you can sign off. I'm going to start signing off on payroll.
Hello, Fred. It's Marissa. I'm good. How are you?
If he says fine,
He did say fine.
oh
I
my,
have the board here. We're still in the meeting. We're under select board items and we'd like to discuss the default budget.
the default
Alright,
budget
so-
issue.
I am going to put you on speakerphone and we'll give this a go, okay? All right. All right, Fred, I have you on speaker. Can you test it out?
Oh boy, yeah, you're coming through loud and clear.
Oh, well, that's good.
So are you. Okay. Fred,
Shoot.
several people, two,
Wait a minute, now, several people, two?
Two of them.
yeah, brought up issues with our default budget.
Okay,
At that time, you told them that the only way to get it changed was to talk to the Board of Selectmen and you and the finance people. So, could you tell us where we stand if they feel that we erred in that, okaying that default budget?
okay. First of all, I don't think that we erred in the default budget. The budget for and we're talking about the utilities now, we're not talking about anything else because that's all they talked about.
Okay.
Water, sewer, and light departments. And there was a lot of confusion over the prior budgets in those particular departments because there was a lot of unidentified lines within the budget. That is to say, they didn't have a particular function or a purpose next to the sub-line item. And remind you, the Department of Revenue does not govern sub-line items; they only govern line items. In researching each of those sub-line items, Marissa and I, interviewed department heads. Marissa was involved in this in a very leading way because she kept on formulating where the money was going and checking it through the bills that were paid. So what we came up with was a complete new budget for the three utilities based upon need, what they have to purchase, what they need for supplies, and what they need for work on a given day. So we added a line for instance, in the electric department for transformers. You can't hook up a new service without a transformer. It's just one of those things. It needs to be. We also added in the new line for meters, which incidentally is a contract, but they said can't be there because it wasn't in the previous year. Not true. It was in the previous year, and it was a contract for the previous year. There are a lot of items like that were not identified. And what we did was we tried to identify each and every line item. One of the big things that was mentioned was the hydro. As you know, we own two hydro generating systems that are the property of the town. Somebody, somewhere along the line, severed the relationship for the rental of the water going through those hydro facilities from the state by returning that license that allowed us to use the water to generate electricity. At the same time, they also canceled the federal energy regulatory permit that we have to have in order to manufacture that electricity. But we still own at least $100,000 worth of equipment that we monitor. We do not overly maintain, but we monitor. And the Public Works Director and I have been down there several times looking at that equipment, trying to figure out exactly what's going on with it. We need to test it to find out what's wrong. We own it. We need to maintain it, and that is in the system. Now, if you were to take all the things that we changed, which was virtually every line item in the three utilities, and identified them for purposely what they were and what the money was being spent for. And although our superintendent of water and light is no longer with us, one of his complaints was, I didn't know what these lines were for. I had no idea. We just had a vacant line there and there was money in it, so we just charged things to it. No rhyme, reason, or whatever. And Marissa can corroborate that because she's heard that comment a couple of times as well. We tried to give some definition to that on things that were spent for maintaining the utilities. It's obvious that the complainants do not believe they should be there, in which case they're thinking that those should all be removed, which will then bankrupt the three utilities, and we won't have utilities for the town anymore. Bottom line. Question.
And I think your statement handles the questions that I would have.
Go ahead.
Well, I heard one person speak, say that they called the DRA and that everything we did was incorrect and illegal. Doesn't sound to me like what we've done is incorrect or illegal. And
Well, pardon me while I interject here. If they called the Department of Revenue, the Department of Revenue never called us. If they felt something was illegal, they would have been there the next morning.
I agree with that. Just wondering if that person has the authority to represent the town and call in the DRA on those matters?
The only people who have the authority to represent the town are those people appointed by the Board of Selectmen or the Board of Selectmen. No one else.
Okay, it's good to know. Thank you.
You can always complain, but you can't represent the town.
Right. So, and to bring that up in a public meeting like that is kind of slanderous.
Disingenuous, I think, is the right word.
Okay, disingenuous. We'll
Disingenuous,
we'll
yes.
just take it down a notch. It's like saying that the people in the town are trying to pull a fast one when they're just trying to correct things.
We have a lot of money that's invested. The taxpayers, the residents, the citizens of Ashland have a lot of money that's represented in these departments.
Correct.
The money that was being spent was not being properly cared for or charged out correctly. Marissa went to a lot of trouble to go through all those files and organize everything and come up with the right figures along with the superintendents of what should be identified in each of those line items. Now, we spend money out of each of those line items as they're currently structured right now. I think one of the things that was mentioned as we went through this process was, well, these line items are going to allow us to, in fact, determine what kind of rates we should have for the taxpayers in town. I think that's an important function, and if you don't know what you're spending, you don't know how to charge it to people.
And it lets people see, when you do the budget, it lets people see what lines are actually, what is actually needed or being used.
And what is being spent and what is being
Yeah.
spent on.
Well, what we provided was line items for common expenditures in the three utilities.
Yeah.
You have to charge something to a line item, or excuse me, a sub-line item. I don't want to get these two confused.
Yeah.
You have sub-line items where the money is allocated for use for that particular function. Fire hydrants, for instance. We need three more because we have a total of 5, I believe, that have no shutoffs on them. They're all on state highways, by the way. So we need to have a hydrant line, and then we need to have a continuing hydrant line for annual repairs of those hydrants once we flush them. For electric, we need to have a line for the trucks that we rent. We have contracts for those trucks, and those folks provide those trucks to us and maintain those trucks for us as part of our lease agreement. But if we didn't have those trucks, we would have to have a separate company come in and do all that work for us at a humongous rate. There's a lot of things in there that the average person would not be aware of, would not know what they mean. The metering, for instance, how that plays out, what's the cost, and so on and so forth. There's all kinds of things like that. CTs, current transformers, transformers for lines, poles, secondary wire, primary wire. Then you've got all of the electrical minor equipment that goes together to put all that together so that, in fact, the lines work. Cross arms on poles and et cetera, except bolts, special type bolts that bolt those cross arms onto the lines, onto the individual telephone poles. There are hundreds and hundreds of items, and we tried to boil them down to the lowest common denominator in each of the utilities with the help of the superintendents in order to make the budget work. Otherwise, it didn't, because we didn't know what we were charging to.
So that's the reason for the additional new lines.
Yeah, and I think Marissa will tell you too that some of those lines just were catch-alls. There was no description to them at all. They were called miscellaneous. And you don't have miscellaneous sub-line items. What's that mean? You could drive a town through it, I guess, on miscellaneous. you need to have something that's defined as to what the sub-line item is for. We spend money in all of those areas. Not an awful lot, but we do spend items from those individual new line items because they're not new. They're just defined the way they should be.
Okay.
And I'll be happy to say that to the Department of Revenue as well. I'll put my 21 years of experience in municipal light up against theirs.
Okay.
Did you get the big bucks for, Fred?
I'm not sure about the bucks, but that horse was a good rider for a while. But there are lots of things going on out there that I think we need to sit and talk about with regards to long-term goals and budgets and so on and so forth. We have a lot of things that are out of line with the statutes. And one of the things I have on my agenda for this coming year is to make them be in line with the statutes, the general laws, and the way things are administered in the state of New Hampshire, not the way people want to see them administered.
Yep. We ran into one of those incidents tonight.
Well, we have some of those things. I mean, people, when you do things for a long period of time that are not correct, you get to learn them to be correct because they're being done year after year after year after year. They don't comply with the statute. That's the difference.
Right.
And when they don't comply with the statute, there's something radically wrong, and guess who pays for the wrong? It's the taxpayer, not the person who's committing the wrong or doing their operation incorrectly. It's the taxpayer that pays for it, and that's wrong.
Well, at least he's right in that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Fred.
No, anytime, I'm sorry I can't be there.
It's okay.
Anytime
We
any
made it
board
through.
member has any problem whatsoever, please call me. Come see me. Talk to me. I'll be happy to give you the full spectrum of what the law requires. That's in my knowledge, and if I can't see it in my knowledge, I will look it up for you. I believe that I was asked by one of the members of the board with regards to a license coming up for renewal in April. And I was a little surprised to learn the license hasn't been renewed for 2 years, so it's dead. It's those little things.
Little things.
You got to go by what the law says. But nobody's paying attention. Because it's not being called to the selectmen's attention when these things are wrong. That's one
Well,
of the
if it gets
things
called
that I
to you,
intend to do.
if it gets called to the selectmen's, we generally call the town manager.
Usually.
In this particular case, the one I just talked about, this is strictly under the purview of the board.
Well,
I only can provide you with information. It's up to you as to
Yeah.
whether or not you renew something that's strictly within your authority.
yeah,
But I will be happy to call to your attention what the law says.
yes,
And you make your own mind up about how you want to deal with it.
that's good. Thank you, Fred.
Anytime at all, you guys know that.
Okay.
You folks know that. Is our young lady there tonight?
The young lady?
Young lady, yes.
Which young lady?
The young lady who's a member of the board.
Yes, I am.
See? There's always got to be one that's on the top of the list.
Okay,
We wouldn't have a good park and recreation department that doesn't cost the town anything if it wasn't for her.
okay.
All right, thank you, Fred.
Oh, we need to have more of that.
Press the
I'd like
magic
to make
button.
sure that we don't.
I don't want to talk to him anymore.
That's my goal.
Fred, Eli said he doesn't want to talk to you anymore. He's laughing.
I know.
Yes, thank you so much.
So that's a good explanation,
Yes.
and it makes perfect
Yes, it
sense. I
is.
think we knew that anyways, because it
Well,
got explained
all
to
right,
us
thanks, Fred.
during the budget cycle.
Good night.
It was explained to us during the budget cycle. I think the way he did it tonight was more concise, letting the people know of what he did. I'm, as a former commissioner for with water and sewer. I can tell you that when we went to do our budget, there were a lot of lines that we were told we couldn't change. Because that's the way it had been, and we couldn't change them.
But we did.
We did some, yeah.
So Eli, when the budget went before the budget committee, did he explain what he had done with the three?
Yes.
He did. Were
Uh,
all the members present on the day he explained it?
Physically.
They were
I
all
don't have the
physically,
answer to that, Dave.
they were all physically there?
Yeah.
Okay.
One wasn't occasionally.
Oh,
No.
okay. Yes, Mr.
Well,
Bozello.
just if I could add a comment, I totally agree with, what Fred said, the analysis, and I know there was like really great work done in terms of trying to straighten out that electric budget. So I'm not
The
arguing.
financial team has been
Awesome.
working there,
Yeah,
working really hard to get
yeah.
things cleaned up. Okay,
I've looked at it and so I'm gonna give it, but I thought what I heard as the argument at the deliberation,
Yeah.
deliberative session, was that you could change the line items. I don't think anybody was arguing that, but I think what they said is you can't change the amount of the past budget. In other words, it has to, if the budget for some reason gets turned down, the amount has to roll
Okay.
back to what it was.
the default budget is last year's budget,
The one that was passed and voted for.
with the exception that you get to add in contracts and things that you,
Legally can put in
Yeah.
in a default and change the number.
the
But you can't
fact,
change the line items in a way that changes the number.
no.
And so that's what I thought their argument was, that somehow if this year's budget gets turned down, what was proposed as a default budget wouldn't match what last year's budget really was, because of the manipulation of the line items. I believe that was the argument being made.
I don't think the line items had anything to do with the total bottom line, because the bottom line is the bottom line. That's what was voted on. Can't change that number, that's what they said.
Right, and that was the point.
Yeah.
So as long as that number doesn't change, then there's not an issue.
It was, trying to think of the word I wanted to use for that, but it doesn't come to me right at the moment, but
Keep it clean.
it would have been clean.
Okay.
It was more of an accurate description, but the bottom line is that it looked like something was being finagled with, but the reality is it was back then. It isn't now. It's changed because
It's
now it's changed to the
clarified
point where
now.
it's clarified.
a better telling of the story.
Yes.
But that has nothing to do with the default budget. Default budget is what it was, and you can't change it. And I don't think we've ever gone back to the default budget, have we, in the town election? Have we ever done that?
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
many
we have.
times.
Oh.
Yes.
That's scary because, if you have things going forward, sometimes you can't go forward.
Well, sometimes it's difficult.
Right. But
With the utilities, they do have a checkbook.
what I would say, between the two budgets, last year's default budget and this year's new budget, the amount difference is very small in a world where inflation is pretty high.
It's maybe $70,000.
Yeah, and it's
If I,
the people in
Off
the
the top of my
departments
head.
and the boards all work very hard to keep that budget very trim.
our departments have done, try to work well within their limitations. I mean,
I think even the school board did a good job.
you've got to hand it to Craig. With the salt prices, the way they,
Right.
the cost of fuel to operate vehicles.
Saw a cost of diesel fuel today in Manchester at $3.98.
Yeah.
Almost $4 a gallon for diesel.
Our heating oil was
Oh.
$4.77 a gallon.
I just got a $700 bill for Ashland. Last week, I had a $700 bill for Derry.
Yeah.
$1,400 for 2 months, in 2 places.
Yep.
It's an expensive year. So I'm just saying that the budget that we're looking at, compared to last year's budget, in the world we're in today,
It's not-
is somewhat of a minor miracle.
It's not out of a line.
No.
And Fred and the rest of the staff have done a great job of keeping us solvent. Yes, Mr. Bizzell.
If I could, as long as we're talking in general about budget, has the board or anyone given thought to the fact that we may be entering an inflationary period? Because, as Bob pointed out, it's going to mandate increases in the budget. They're just going to be unavoidable if we tend to keep the town operating. However, unless there's some mechanism that allows the budget to automatically increase by some indexing to inflation, we could be in a position where the town just says, I don't care. You don't get your 7% inflation, you want a 5% increase, and the town says no, and you're left like, okay, now we're gonna pay the bills.
At this time, if inflation keeps,
What he's talking about is indexing,
yeah,
and that never flies very well in New Hampshire.
No.
It just doesn't. They tried it at the state legislature, and it ain't happening.
but we do have our unassigned fund balance
That's-
that,
In short-term help.
in the short term, that would keep us in the black for this year. And, town governments are always behind at least a year. Because we make a decision, what's it gonna be for the next year? And no.
Our 3 departments are operating at no tax increases, no tax impact. The water department, the electric department, the parks and recreation, all of them operate and they pay for themselves.
And, given what the sewer department has to do over the next 5 years,
Yep.
for us to be able to say that, that there will be no tax impact as long as we keep septic receiving going is amazing. Plus, we're getting a 40% help from and that just brings down our deficit, well, in that department, which means that the normal ratepayer will not bear the burden.
We found another opportunity, perhaps some more grant money for that wastewater treatment. We have to go into it a little bit more, but there are other opportunities.
There will
You
be
have to
other
go after.
opportunities over the next few
Right.
years.
So, but we still have to have the bond passed so that it's there, so if we do get those.
We have
grant
to raise the money.
We need to raise the money. Yeah.
What,
Can't spend it if you're not allowed to have it.
we had to raise the $400,000 for the sidewalk,
Right.
and we got it back. Well, we got 80% of it back.
Yeah.
Working on it, yes. Grants do help.
Yeah, they do, but you can't go to the bank with them.
No, you still have to pay up front
Yeah,
and pay yourself back.
right. So hopefully, down the road, we will probably want to speak with our federal representatives and see if we can squeeze something there. Because, we have a $10 million project. And on top of that,
Baseline,
we also have trash removal we have to start thinking about very seriously.
And there's that,
Yeah.
and there's,
There's a few things, police station, and we can go on.
Okay.
But I'm just ad-libbing at this point. So-
okay, I'll
Okay.
accept the motion.
So.
We got one
If there-
more
We got
thing
one
we
more
need
item,
to-
your select board items.
What are,
What do we have to do with the
Article 19.
Article 19?
We have to do on
12,000.
select board items, right?
that's the place to bring it up, thank you for
Yeah.
reminding
Yeah.
me, it was overwhelmingly voted by the members at the deliberative session to increase from 6,000 to 12,000 for the, what's the group that's doing it?
Is it Grafton County?
It's,
Grafton County Senior Citizens?
yeah, Grafton, let's see,
Grafton County
Grafton
Senior-
County Senior Citizen Council Incorporated.
Okay.
I would like to ask a question about this. I noticed that the Budget Committee had a meeting after the deliberative session. Did they bring this issue
They
up?
approved it,
They approved it?
yes.
Okay. All right. So there's nothing changes there.
Uh,
My question is that this money is what was requested from us, and we complied with the request. And the way that usually works is they come up with a budget, and they go to all the towns and the county, and they divide it up according to population and all of that. They
Ability
come up
to
with-
pay.
And ability to pay, and then they ask for enough to fill their budget.
And they.
And this is more than they need, in my
It's
opinion.
more than they've asked for.
More than they've asked for. I
Uh,
suppose you can't say it's more than they need, because you can always use more money. But like us, if you get more money and it's not in the budget, you can't spend it.
If we get, it goes into the unassigned fund balance.
Right. And we'd just be throwing $6,000 away. Really, it's how it works. They have a budget that gets approved through the county.
No, they're a nonprofit.
Okay, all right, I'm sorry.
They
They're a
can-
nonprofit, they're not a government, all right.
No.
No, it
Okay,
just happens to
all
be.
right, I'll take that back.
It just
All the
happens to be,
money you can get.
they call themselves Grafton County because they serve Grafton County.
Right, right, that threw me off. So they're under different rules.
But they asked for a certain amount. They have apportioned their costs to all of the member towns. Our bill was $6,000. Now, do we approve, once again, we're being asked to approve more than what was requested. However, Grafton County did not request any more money.
Exactly. And the way I heard the way the motion was moved forward, that they could use the money. I don't know if that person represented Grafton County?
No, Mr. Parade does not,
Okay, so,
as far as I know.
right. And so, we don't have an explanation why there should be more money and what was gonna be done with it, which is what we always talk about. It's just irregular. And it's costing the taxpayers. How much is every penny cost the taxpayer?
Instead of
believe it
2
was
cents,
4
it'll be 4
cents.
cents.
Pardon me?
Instead of 2 cents, it'll be 4 cents.
No, but what is the cost per penny to the taxpayer on their,
Figure that one out, Morris.
yeah. So, well, basically, no, I can do it in
No,
my head.
no.
If you got a piece of property that's worth $200,000, you just add a penny per every
Thousand.
Every thousand, so another $200
No,
for one penny. Now it's $200 for 2 pennies.
it's 200 cents.
200 cents.
200 cents a mill.
Yeah.
Oh, mill,
Mill.
okay, all right, okay. Now, see, I think that sounds a little weird.
Yeah, good try.
Yeah, right.
That'd be a lot.
But it, it does have an impact. It has an impact, and, we're here to represent the taxpayers. And we like to represent the elderly people that these services are provided for. It's not that we're cheap, we did what was asked of us.
But basically, it was voted on, so the article goes in how it was voted on.
Yes,
Right.
But
No,
it's-
So all we're
whether or
gonna
not
do
we
is say
recommend
whether
it.
we recommend it or not.
Right.
that's
Right.
it.
And if we say no, in my opinion, we're gonna look like we're not supporting that corporation or,
But
that's the
also-
way I look at it.
It's also a danger of them not passing it. And they get nothing.
It could happen.
It could happen.
Well, then, lesson learned.
Probably not.
However,
That's a terrible lesson, but
Well-
if we do not recommend this, and it does not pass, it doesn't default to the $6,000.
Right.
If Mr. Paray had said, or if the motion had been modified to say, if in case this does not pass, it reverts to the $6,000, that would be one thing. Yes, David, it will probably pass.
It's a yes or no vote.
It's a yes or no vote.
Whatever the number.
So next year, it'll be 12,000 again.
could be.
I would imagine it might be.
Because whatever you gave last year is what they asked for the next year. It's just the way it is.
We're caught in a.
We're caught in a very sticky situation. I mean, I have no doubt that these people, if we give them the 12,000, they'll use it properly. That wasn't the question here.
Yeah.
I believe that Mr. Paray was making the point of the amount of money, when you divide that by the 75 people helped, it's less than $100.
Right, I get that.
And I think that's where he was headed
Well,
with this.
I understand
It does
that. But again,
not- But this is
it's
what this agency asked for.
right. They asked for it
And-
based upon how they break it down
That's right.
to the population and the ability to pay. So, at least we hashed it out.
I had a comment, just as long as we're hashing it out. My concern, I mean, it's a good cause, it's not a lot of money, it's not the point.
Right.
That's
I
right.
believe we were hustled, and that if a precedent is set, somebody else is gonna do it too. I mean, I would. I mean, if I had a warrant article and I saw what happened here, I'd be the next one to say, hey, instead of 1,000, let's make it 3,000. I just think it's irregular, and that you really can't be supportive of that type of emotion.
Well, politically, Charlie, it could work both ways. You could just send people over the top and vote against it. And that's the real concern that I have, that these people need that $6,000. Maybe they don't need the 12, but they definitely need the 6. And if this wasn't to pass, they would be shot, and our senior citizens would not get the services they need. And that's the reality of it. It's a terrible place to be.
And if you want to go back and look at how this particular agency has been
Oh, I'm
supported in the past,
Yeah,
it has not been a unanimous decision by vote.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
When I say, I mean, it's not close.
yeah,
There's a lot of people, for whatever reason, it's easy to say no, 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 and no.
Yeah.
I can tell you that there's a lot of people who find fault with this agency. That's their opinion. I happen to disagree with them.
Well, it's more than one agency. It's Service Link, and I have some experience with them.
No, but I'm just saying, that this
Yeah.
one in particular is what we're talking about.
Right. But they were kind of bunched in together for this private corporation.
Yes, so, anyway.
Service Link is always done very well by people. But,
Well,
again, here we are,
I'll
so
take someone make a don't
I don't know if you have to make a motion at all. I mean,
Or-
we don't change it, or we just leave it as
It
it is.
is the way it is. We
Yeah.
can't change
that's
it.
right.
Well,
You
no,
either
we can't
support
change
it.
the money.
No.
We can change whether we
Recommend it.
support or whether we recommend this.
That's what we're gonna do.
If we don't,
And that's what we've been discussing.
if we don't recommend it, people aren't gonna see that it went from 6,000 to 12,000. They're just gonna see that it was 12,000 and we are not supporting this agency. In my opinion.
You're absolutely right.
Because there were, what, 40 people there and there's 300 that vote?
Hopefully.
Estimating?
Well, there's a pretty good scuttlebug line in town.
Someone make a motion.
I
To
don't know.
recommend or not recommend?
I don't know if we need to do that, if we can just.
Well,
we
we can just let it sit because we recommended it.
I mean, I want to know how Andy feels, how you feel,
Personally, we've already voted on it.
right?
Right.
The only thing that's changed is the dollar figure. I think from my standpoint, if we were to vote on it again, I'd abstain.
We all could.
Yep.
You would probably say the same thing.
If I stuck to my, if I stick to my principles about what they asked for and what we originally voted on, to keep that, I would have to say no.
Yeah.
Um,
That was my gut feeling, it's like
No.
like somebody come on and punch me in the gut.
I do not want, but in this case, I don't know all of the backstory, but I do know that many of the add-ons that we have for the service-related parts of this, people do vote against them.
Right. And the fact that they doubled it, just
Yeah.
plain doubled it. It's like, you could have went and said, well, let's make it 10 grand, not 12.
No, it's, the amount of money, we voted for 6.
Yeah.
We recommended 6. I would have, if we bring this to a vote, I would have to say no.
So let's not vote on it.
That's exactly where I'm headed, Bob.
I think so.
I
agree. We had to
And
discuss
if
it
it
though.
is, it will be put on the ballot
Yeah.
with no line on it, recommended or not recommended. And we'll leave it at that. That's how I'd like to do it.
We can delete that.
Take the line off.
Can't take off the budget committee's line.
Don't care.
That's
That's their,
I think that's a good idea.
okay.
I'm willing to agree with Alan on this one.
Well, Bob said it first, but I was headed there.
Okay, anything
We'll
else?
let the voters decide.
Let the
Well, they've
voters,
done it one way or another. but
Yeah.
I think
you know,
that-
if we present a budget in general, why do we have to recommend it?
well, that's the other
Because
side of it.
Because it's
our budget.
Yeah, it's not only that, but these items here are by petition.
Yeah,
So that's not our budget, that's somebody
No.
else's budget. They petitioned this to the town.
I know.
So we make a recommendation, one way or the other on it.
I would like, well, I won't have to after this one. That's right.
Go for it.
Go for it. Do anything you want. Okay.
So can we remove it? And,
I think it's a consensus. How's that?
yeah,
That's what I have, is to remove the line.
Okay.
yeah, okay.
Any other business? Alan?
I have one thing that Fred kind of hit on in his ending comments. We have a lot of things coming up that we really need to discuss. I know we're busy with 2 meetings a month. I'm using the word meeting. I'd like to see us sit down, have a work session it'd still be a meeting, but it would be more about discussing items that need to be looked at for the town.
The way the law puts it, if more than quorum meets, it's a meeting.
Yes, I know. But no, it's gonna be a meeting, but I'm gonna, because I've been told we shouldn't call it a work session. I'll just leave it at
No,
that.
it should be a meeting.
It's a meeting,
It
but
has
I'm
to be-
phrasing it for us here right now, so that you understand where I'm coming from.
And it has,
It's not, there's gonna be an agenda, obviously.
and it has
but it'll be
to follow
specific.
91A.
It'll be, yes, exactly, thank you. But it will be topics that need to be at least identified to be worked on. We all know most of the problems that we're gonna be dealing with down the road here. A plan has to be laid somewhat of how we're going to address them. We can't wait until they really have to happen. There's a lot of things I'd like to see at least discussed.
Let's
if
get
not-
through the budget.
Oh, yes, which we've done, and now it's time to move on to
Right.
really, what I'm gonna say, the hard work,
We're gonna get through the budget. There's gonna be another election.
so.
There may be a new.
I just wanted to throw that out
Oh,
to see
there will
where.
be. There will be one, there will be one new member.
And I don't have a problem with sitting down and discussing where we should need to be in the future. And itemize things that are higher, I put a priority list.
Yep.
You know, the priority list would have to be according to what the statutes say, you know, what we have to do. For example, after we did the sidewalks, we were told we had an audit in town on all our buildings and we did pass that with flying colors, so that's gonna be a priority.
That wasn't part of the original agreement.
Well, I know, that's what happens when
I
you
know.
accept money.
It just-
It comes with the little strings.
It wasn't part of the original agreement.
Anyway, I would appreciate consideration of that down the road here. Give you a chance to put something forward before you leave.
Oh, I
If you so
can,
choose.
I can talk to, I want to see CIP.
I didn't even get into that one yet, but
If we think there's inflation, we need to prioritize how we spend our money, what we spend our money on, and the people that, we used to have a CIP committee that actually functioned and we had a path to expenditures and when we would need to raise,
yes.
and
And
a town administrator, town manager, decided that we didn't need one. And in those years, he did say that, well, the department heads did their own CIP. And that's nice. I'm glad that the department heads did do their own CIPs. It's something that they should do, but there needs to be a master plan
and that
for
was-
CIP.
And that was well done, in my opinion. Took over 2 years of work done on that. Nothing was ever done with it. And I
That
have
sounds
a-
very familiar.
And I have a problem
It-
with that.
it's,
Because most of it is still good today. It could be followed.
There-
Even
yes.
5 years after the fact. Anyway, I'm gonna beat up on it.
It just-
But-
It gives people in the audience just
It's something
more
that
fodder.
the people need to know.
Oh,
that-
absolutely.
And
And I-
a CIP committee would give people a chance to have another voice, or actually to, to be part of it, or actually hear more discussion about town finances. I would like, in the future, I would hope that we seriously take a look at looking at trying to get our water desalinated. That keeps going up. The salt in the water keeps going up every year. When Alan and I were commissioners, we commissioned a company to give us a plan. And it was a little bit of a radical plan as far as, but it was not as costly as some, but the state didn't particularly care for it.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, they didn't want to. We need we have many things that are falling apart,
I've noticed.
and we have to figure out on how and when to take care of it. It is time we stop being reactionary. It is time that we plan.
The can get kicked down the road for a long time. It's gonna take a while to catch up.
It's,
This board has made a very significant move forward in
Well,
that area.
um,
So you could be proud that this board has done what it's done. And I think that we're moving in the right direction. And I don't have a problem with doing a master plan or,
well, the master plan was done what?
The master plan is a good 10,
Okay.
11 years old.
Okay,
yeah,
they're supposed to be done every 5 to 10 years.
sure.
Um,
I bet you if you look at it, it's still the plan that we have to use.
There are some things on the master plan that need to be relooked at. Things have changed in that time. But there are still things that we have other sidewalks that need to be upgraded. Okay?
We have another one in the works, right? Another
It depends on
grant.
what Craig's,
Yeah. Well, I was at the TAC meeting and they said we have one more.
I mean, they did a little bit of work on Depot Street. One of the walking streets that people have used is Winter.
That definitely has to be upgraded. The bridge has to be fixed on it too.
Actually, there was a proposal given to the TAC while it got approved, it never got funded. Depends on state funding. I mean, that's,
There's one other thing that happened at the meeting that I wanted to ask. I heard somebody say something about taking our town clock, rehabilitating it, and then selling it. Has anybody here thought about that?
as far,
Can't do it.
Huh?
I don't believe,
Gee.
I don't believe we can sell our, the clock.
No.
I know that we can rebuild, if we want to spend quite a bit. We have about, what is it, $4,000
About.
in a capital reserve account for the clock.
Well, we heard Fred give us a dissertation on the clock, on
Yeah.
the faces. They're
Yeah.
irreplaceable, there are none.
No.
You know, we are in possession of some pretty
It's
good
an old-
antiquities.
It's an old clock.
Well, it's very old. You know, and it's also the face of this town when you come in, you know. The photographers take
Yeah.
pictures of it. They're on posters, they're on postcards.
Yeah.
It's like the face of Ashland. You don't sell those things.
Some of them. Okay,
I'm just making my opinion known.
absolutely.
I don't think that we should even consider. I just want to know if anybody else had heard that and whether or not they had an effect. It's just like, kind of bothered me.
It's our clock.
Yeah. And
It
should
may
stay
be
that way.
sitting in the church's steeple, but it is our clock.
It's not my intention to drag this meeting out. I know this is getting long, so I'll
No.
just let it go, but,
I've been to longer.
yeah. You know, it's snowing.
David used to run
A
a,
marathon?
well, actually, when he was on the planning board, I've heard stories of it going to 12.
It seemed like that, but.
I can remember a state budget, it went to midnight, and we just shut the clock off.
Yeah,
Because it had to be done by midnight, so we stopped it.
stopped it 1 minute before. Is there anything else
Nope.
Don't have anything.
to come before this board? Any other comments from?
Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Bozello, for coming to a meeting.
No non-profits, I mean, no
Um,
hopefully.
No non-publics.
Oh, great. David, I have a couple of extra of these pins, the Hampshire State pins, and I passed them out to the board. I had a bucket of these things, so here's a couple for you. and-
His wife told him he had to clean out a couple of
I
drawers.
just thought, you know,
You can turn us off now.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Yo,
Second.
Second, third.
go.